Guys, it is almost February, which means it's almost time to start seeds if you garden. And so today I want to take you through my seed haul from seeds that I ordered. Gosh, I think I ordered them at the beginning of the year to grow in this year's garden. So I'm going to give you a little seed haul. It's nothing crazy. I did have a lot of these seeds on hand, and I'll show you what I intend to grow, and I'll show you the garden plan eventually. But today's video is all about the seeds that I ordered and intend to grow this year. So I ordered seeds this year technically through two different companies. I ordered seeds through Am I Gardener. I really enjoy his seeds because they are $2 a packet and they have pretty great germination rate. I also ordered from Johnny's Seeds, and I ordered from Johnny's Seeds because you can order them in bulk. Like, look at the difference between these two seed packets, okay? Like, that's significant. And the seeds that I ordered from Johnny's, I wanted a lot of because I intend to grow a lot of them. So let's go with Johnny's because Johnny's is small. I have ordered from Johnny's Seeds before. I heard from them through several other people online, to include Becky at Acre Homestead, Bree Ellis from, I think she's just Bree Ellis on YouTube. And they both use Johnny's Seeds when they want seeds in bulk. And Johnny's Seeds was one of the few places that I found had pole beans that I liked for the purpose of green beans. Not a lot of places I found were growing or were selling green beans as a pole bean. Most of them were bush beans, and I have had absolutely terrible luck with bush beans. The plants put on a couple of pods and then they just look really sad. Whereas my mom, she also lives in Colorado, she grew pole beans and they did fabulous. So this year I'm definitely going to test out the pole bean method. I have a lot of trellises throughout our little suburban garden area, and so I'm hoping we have a much better rate of return on our green beans. So the green beans that I got were, hang on just a second. One of these is actually a yellow bean. And so I think the Monte Gusto is a yellow pole bean. I think it's technically a wax bean. So the Monte Gusto, I believe, is my yellow wax bean. We've grown wax beans before. I don't notice a huge difference between them and green beans, other than the fact that one's yellow and one's green. But Reed really likes them, so I grow them for him. I kind of just want a prolific bean in the house. So there's 250 seeds in this packet, and the cool thing about Johnny's is they kind of tell you what to expect in terms of like height and, you know, when to sow. They give you how deep and how far apart. And to pick beans, they also kind of give you a couple of tips in the event that you see pests and what to do in the event you get any pests that like beans. The other bean that I got, so this is the Monte Gusto. The other bean that I got was the Seychelles. I didn't realize I picked up the wrong one. Is the Seychelles bean, and that is a green bean. I do believe Bree Ellis grew this one, so I'm really excited to try it because I do think she had a lot of luck with it. This one also has 250 seeds. This has a 90% germination rate, and it says seeds per pound. Oh, that's cool. And same information as with the Monte Gusto. It gives you when to sow, how often to harvest, and what to do in the event there are any pests affecting your beans. So I'm super excited. These are not the only green bean varieties I'll be growing, I believe, but these ones are new to me and I'm stoked to give them a shot. Also, this is a new company to me, and I do know people who have recommended this company, so I'm excited to give it a try. I want to try the Gerardale, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but Gerardale pumpkin. It is a deep blue-gray pumpkin, and I've heard it's really great for eating. The company is Botanical Interests. I bought a flower seed and I bought a pumpkin seed just because the pumpkin caught my eye and it's something that I'm interested in growing. I have grown squash before, but I've never grown like a big pumpkin like this, so I'm really excited to give this a try. So that's new to me this year. I also absolutely love zinnias. They are probably one of my favorite flowers to grow in the garden. And I saved seeds from last year and then I dumped them all over the floor in our basement. And when I swept them all up, it was intermixed with some glass that had broken, I guess, on top of some dirt and other things, and they ended up in the trash. So I decided to go ahead and try some new zinnia seeds, also from Botanical Interests, and this one is Northern Lights Blend. And so I'm super excited to give this guy a try. New to me this year, so I cannot speak on my experience with Botanical Interests yet, but hopefully after this year I can either recommend them or tell you where I think they could improve. This was a very pleasant surprise. My father-in-law loves gardening. So he and I, when we get together, one of the things we talk about is the things that I'm growing in the garden, the things that he's growing in the garden, and all of his experience when Reed was younger and growing up and what they did in the garden. And so he gifted me some garden seeds, and I'm super excited about this. I got this in the mail yesterday, and it's a gift certificate from a company called Jung Seed Co. I have ordered from Jung before. I do like their seeds. And so I'm super excited to give some of these a try, but he gifted me some inoculant, which is what you want to use for green beans and peas, that they gives them that boost of nitrogen when they're first like breaking out of the seed pod, and it really helps kickstart the growth. And then there's a Blue Lake pole bean. Oh cool, he got it in pole bean, so that's super exciting. Then he gave me two different kinds of carrots. One is an ingot hybrid and one is a caravel hybrid. I have had absolutely terrible luck with carrots here. I also surprisingly suffer from slugs here in the spring, and I don't know if they're just completely demolishing my carrots. We also suffer from grasshoppers here, and if I have any little seedling and I'm not on top of it, they just demolish everything. So I'm super excited to give these new carrots a try. And then he also sent me super sugar snap pea, so that'll be really fun. We love growing peas. Reed and I will snack on them as we're walking through the garden, and it always makes going through the garden really pleasant. But it says that time for shipment is for spring planting. So I don't have these seeds yet, but they are scheduled to be delivered, so I'm super excited about that. And then lastly is my MI Gardener seed haul. This is where I got the most of my seeds from. I don't know how many I got here, but I got a fair amount. I have had some success with radishes. The problem here in the Front Range of Colorado is we can get snow all the way into June sometimes, and however, we kind of go from moderate temperatures to rather hot temperatures pretty quick. So I do struggle with some things here, but one of the things that did decently well, not last year, but the year before, were radishes. So I went ahead and got us some radishes. These are the cherry bell radishes. I think I grew some of these last year, but the problem with last year was Reed and I got married in June. When I put everything into the ground, I made sure that everything was out of the basement, done in the grow room, and just had to get everything into the soil, and then we left for 2.5 weeks. So the garden didn't get the nurturing that it needed right off the bat after transplanting everything into the garden. So I just didn't have a whole lot of luck on top of the grasshoppers and the slugs. So there was some hiccups and problems last year. I am not attributing that to the seeds or the seed company. That was definitely based off of the time that I could actually give to my garden. I still got the garden to produce a fair amount of peppers and tomatoes. Again, we get really hot here, and they, for the most part, they really like it. But my radishes just were not a fan, or most of them got eaten by slugs or grasshoppers, and that was really sad. So I'm excited to grow radishes again this year. I have actually had some pretty terrible luck with beets, and so I'm gonna try MI Gardener's beets. These are just a dark Detroit red beet. And I had seeds from a different company and they just didn't do great. So I'm hoping this time around I can do better. Reed really likes beets. I didn't really grow up eating beets, but I know they have a lot of good health benefits. And so I would love to learn to incorporate them into my cooking. So we're giving them a shot again. I'm super excited about these two. These two are new to me. I've never grown them. My coworker did go ahead and let me give some a try because she grew some in her yard, and it is kohlrabi. So this year I'm gonna grow the white Vienna kohlrabi and the purple Vienna kohlrabi. And see how they do here in Colorado. I'm super excited about it. These can go in 4 weeks before the last frost date if I start them indoors. So I'm stoked for this. I can go ahead and make like coleslaws and salads and stuff with them. And so that's gonna be really fun. I have developed an obsession with mint tea, specifically peppermint tea. However, I have learned that peppermint is the actual variety. Peppermint is incredibly difficult to find. So if any of you have a good link for a good peppermint, please let me know. But I decided to go ahead and try spearmint. And it's an herb. It's a really, really good herb. And the great thing is this will likely overwinter and be a perennial here in Colorado. So I'll only plant it once if I can get it to take. I have tried getting oregano, thyme. There's another one. Oregano and thyme. I did have a peppermint plant. I killed them all. I had a pineapple peppermint plant. I killed it. So I'm having a lot of difficulties getting the perennials to stick, but I'm hoping I can get this spearmint to take and I can put it somewhere in the yard and it'll just live there. My neighbor grows oregano. I think she grows mint too, and they absolutely love it in her yard. So I'm definitely gonna pick her brain. She's been an amazing help for me. I have purchased lettuce from MI Gardener before, and it did decently well last year actually. So I'm super excited to give it a try again. So MI Gardener sent me a complimentary salad bowl mix. So this is just a variety of salad greens. And I definitely planted this last year and I had really great success. It's nothing fancy on it just says it's a salad bowl mix. But then I did go ahead and order us some Cimarron romaine. I do believe this did really well last year. And Reed and I were definitely enjoying some garden fresh salads. I am trying the butter crunch head lettuce this year, and we will see how that does. I have had a butter crunch head lettuce before as a seed, but it was a gift when I purchased my green stock. And I was still trying to navigate where the green stock would do best in our yard, and where I put it, it wasn't thriving, and any seeds I put in it just weren't thriving. And I essentially just wasted all of the seeds trying to get them to grow, and it didn't work. So trial and error is the name of the game when you're gardening. And then it looks like I got another mix of salad bowl lettuce. So the same one as the complimentary lettuce. So that'll be great because this is going to have things like arugula. It looks like it's going to have the Cimarron romaine. There might even be spinach in here, so that'll be fun. But I love our salad mixes. We kind of eat seasonally. We don't eat a whole lot of salad in the winter, but come summertime, we are eating a fair amount of salads. So I'm super excited. Hopefully I find a really good spot to get my lettuce to grow this year, and it's just nice and prolific, and we don't cook it with the Colorado heat. Also, these are new to me this year. I am gonna grow 2 different kinds of zucchini. I'm gonna grow a Black Beauty zucchini, and I'm gonna grow a golden zucchini. Last year, a neighbor of mine gifted me 1 zucchini plant, and man, oh man, that one plant was super prolific. I do really like to freeze dry the zucchini shreds because then I can incorporate it into things like lasagna. I can incorporate it into meatballs and replace the breadcrumbs, just for nutrient purposes, not for like keto or gluten-free or anything like that. It's just what I do. But I haven't started them from seed. I was gifted a start. So I'm excited to go ahead and give these a try. I've definitely grown squash before, so that'll be really fun. But these are my 2 seeds. So we will see how they go. We do also like to have just good old roasted vegetables, and zucchini is great as a roasted vegetable. Also, these are brand new to me as well, with the exception of one. So we're gonna start with the peppercini pepper. I really like the pickled like pepperoncinis that you get at Olive Garden, and I kind of replicated it a little bit. I was using banana peppers for the purpose of making pickled peppers, but when I saw My Gardener had peppercini specifically, I knew I needed to give it a shot. I actually haven't had too bad of a time growing peppers here in Colorado. Again, we get decently hot. So as long as I put my peppers somewhere where they get good sun, they love it here. And so I'm super excited to give this peppercini pepper a try and pickle it because I love a good pickled pepper. Also, tomatoes. The 2 things I know I can grow in my garden every year are tomatoes, peppers. I also do pretty decent at basil. Basil hasn't failed me yet. So I got San Marzanos. I've heard San Marzanos are the tomatoes to use for paste tomatoes. I predominantly grow tomatoes for making sauce. I do really like having diced tomatoes, and I think this year I'm gonna make my own version of like rotel. But you want a paste tomato for all that. If you get like a huge honkin' tomato, like a beefsteak, they're super juicy, and then they have to reduce down more to actually get more of a saucy texture. So I'm excited to give these San Marzanos a try, and we will see what I think of them. They are considered a semi-determinate variety. So that means that they will continue to grow and set fruit. To my understanding, I know that Romas, which are a determinate variety, and that's what this other one is a Roma, they will grow to a certain height, and they generally, I think it's called flushing, will generally flush most of their fruit all at once, and then the plant is done for the year. So I'm curious to know how the San Marzano works. It says expect high production up to the first frost date. So looks like they're gonna continuously be producing, which is awesome. I did not use My Gardener's Romas last year, but I have grown Romas now the last 2 years, and they do pretty decent. I am still trying to figure out where to place everything in my garden, and every year is a new learning year. We are also putting in 2 more beds this year, so that's also gonna change things. So I'm super excited to get these tomatoes growing. And then lastly, I have 2 different kinds of snow peas that I wanted to try from My Gardener this year. One is the Oregon Giant Snow Pea, and this one came recommended from Becky at Acre Homestead. She does live in the Pacific Northwest. I think she lives in Washington. And so the way things grow for her are definitely very different than the way things grow for me here. But she says they taste absolutely delicious, and she loves delicious food, so I am willing to give these a shot. Worst case scenario, it was $2. And then I'm also going to go ahead and try the Mammoth Melting Snow. I believe I've grown this one before. I think I grew these last year and they did pretty decent. I'm still, again, trying to figure out where I need to put everything. So I think I have a place in mind where they're gonna do really well, but only time will tell. Because I also need to go ahead and organize all of my seeds. So if you are new to gardening, this is a newer thing to me. I got these last year and I was super excited, but it is a photo album organizer. Every now and then, I think I got this at Michael's, and it was on sale. It was half off, and I was like, we're getting it. And I love being able to like color code it and everything. So let's take a look. So I got different varieties of tomatoes that I'm gonna grow. I'm definitely growing the Romas because I like the paste tomatoes. I'm definitely gonna grow the San Marzanos. I may grow a slicer tomato plant, but that's maybe just one. I thought I had an Amish paste. I have Amish paste tomatoes, and those have been my most prolific tomato to date, and they turn out really well. And then I've got 2 different kinds of cherry tomatoes, and I'll probably grow one of each. I have grown tomatillos the last couple of years from In My Gardener. They do really well here. The problem is they are so prolific and they spread like crazy. So I wasn't sure how they would grow, but I thought they would grow up like a tomato, like if you put a cage around them. They don't quite do that. They behave very differently, and they more like to crawl and creep. The best way I can explain it is think of it a little bit like a squash, how a squash kind of goes out like this. The stalks are much stiffer and tomato-like, but they spread big. And I grew so many tomatillos last year that we now have an abundance of green salsa, and I don't know what to do with it all. So I'm actually opting to not grow tomatillos this year simply because they are that prolific. So I will not be growing tomatillos. We're gonna throw our tomatoes into here. Anyways, I love organizing with this photo album organizer. I believe this is like a standard 5x7 photo like dimension, and it holds most of your seed packets really, really well. And it also helps me keep organized. So now we're gonna go ahead and put, our mint is technically an herb, so we're gonna stick it with our herbs. But I'm gonna grow parsley. I want to grow chamomile. My hesitation though is chamomile spreads like a weed, just like peppermint does. But I would like some chamomile so I can have tea. I grow lemon balm, I grow lemon basil, cilantro. I have semi-okay luck with cilantro, and I also grow dill. And then we got our different kinds of basils. And I may try tarragon again, but I'm not sure. To be determined. I don't currently cook with a lot of tarragon, so I would just be growing it for the sake of trying something new, which is totally fine. We got our peppers. So I am going to grow a California Wonder Bell pepper again this year because I actually got some green peppers that like were almost the size of my hand. Like the palm of my hand, I should say, sorry. So they were the palm of my hand, or like the size of a fist. It was super exciting. I've tried bell peppers now. I think this was my third year attempting, no, it was my second year attempting bell peppers. And my first year, the bell peppers were like little dinky things. And so I was so excited about my bell peppers last year. Marconi peppers are an awesome red pepper, sweet red pepper. So I really like those. Cayennes. Cayennes are one of those peppers I've never had any issue with. They grow prolifically and they've been absolutely amazing. And then banana peppers. I just recently started growing banana peppers last year. And they turned out really great, so I'm excited about that. And then I've got 2 different varieties of jalapenos from Baker Creek Seeds. And the Sugar Rush peach peppers, I'm gonna try them one more time. I wanna grow them to make peach salsa. My issue is they usually start to take on their peach color right as we're approaching the frost date, and so they're just starting to turn, and half the time they haven't truly developed that hint of peach flavor. And so I'm going to make sure I put them in a spot where they are just in the sun, and I'm hoping that really helps, but only time will tell. Then we got our peas. Again, we love growing peas. And I've got another thing of snow peas in here, and they just do really, really well. So I mentioned I'm gonna grow kale. I am on the fence about growing broccoli and cauliflower this year. Again, because we just go from having moderate weather to really hot weather in a matter of like weeks, my broccoli doesn't do very well. And I don't know if it's because of where I place them. Maybe I need to put them in a different spot. I will try another spot for them this year, but if I can't get them to take, I think I'm probably going to be done attempting to grow broccoli and cauliflower because they just don't like the heat. They are not heat tolerant vegetables. And then this is, what are you? American flag leeks. I haven't had the greatest success with leeks either. I do want to try it again and we'll see what happens. But it's just to see what I can grow and what I can't. I definitely want to grow cabbage again this year. And I have a Danish ball head cabbage that did really well for me last year. And this is a Jung seed. And it did, the Danish ball head did pretty decent for me last year. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'll probably grow a couple of red cabbages as well. I do not know what kind of cabbage those are. They were seeds gifted to me from my mom. Let's see. Celery. So I have tried celery in the past. I never know. I need to do more research and be more knowledgeable on how to properly like care for celery, because some people say to like, it's called, oh goodness, I've heard it was called, but you're supposed to like wrap the stalks and it keeps the stalks from getting really tough and woody. And I don't know if I harvested my celery too late or if I harvested it too early, or if that's just the way celery is supposed, like fresh celery is supposed to taste. And I'm used to store-bought celery. So that's just an experiment that I need to keep playing with, but we would like to grow celery. And then I do have onion seeds here. I've got a ruby red onion, a red Geneva onion, and that one's gone. I don't know why I saved that. I'm gonna get these seeds started, but my parents have much more, they have far more garden beds than I do, and they get far better sun. And so my mom is actually going to grow our garlic and our onions for us this year. So I'm gonna do her a favor and I'm going to go ahead and just start some onions for her, and then we'll bring them down the next time we go and visit. And we planted our garlic back in October last year, so that's already been taken care of. And then I don't have anything else in here. I have some Nance carrots. I'm definitely gonna give those a try again and see what happens. If they fail, they fail. And if they succeed, that's just a bonus. And then, nope. I think this is where we're gonna put our zucchinis. That's inoculant. All right, this is some greens. So we're gonna throw our lettuces in here. On top of our greens, I'm going to grow some more spinach. My spinach did decent last year because I actually got it out before we were out of the super harsh frosts, but it was still rather chilly, and the spinach was much happier than it's been in years prior. And then I am still trying to figure out Swiss chard, and I think I'm going to try the same approach as the spinach and just try and get it out earlier than the last frost, but once the super harsh frost seems to have passed. What else? Cucumbers. I love growing cucumbers. Reed and I love pickles, and so I am all over the cucumber game. And they grow up trellises, so it's a vertical growing vegetable, and that just saves us so much space because we are very limited on space here. So I'm super excited to grow cucumbers for the sake of pickles. I did not open this packet last year. This is just from In My Gardener. It's the National Pickling Cucumber. So we'll give that a try. That is what I grew last year, and it did really well. It was very prolific. I'm gonna grow some butternut squash. I actually think these seeds are really old, so I probably need to replace these. I did not think of that. That was an afterthought. But I am gonna go ahead and put my pumpkin in there with that. And then I don't know. I think the kohlrabi, no sir. Nope, we don't scratch. Thank you. I think the kohlrabi is what? Is it part of like the cabbage family? What are you part of? We're just gonna stick it with the brassicas, I think. That seems like a good idea. We'll just chuck it with the brassicas. Maybe if I can find the brassicas. Oh, there. Okay. We're just gonna stick it with the brassicas and see what happens. Some people also recommend organizing by cool weather crops and warm weather crops. That might be how I reorganize this in the future, but this method, I at least mentally, I have not fully figured out my warm crops and my cool crops yet. But I do know what's a brassica, what's a pepper, what's a tomato, and so that's how I currently organize everything. And then I have I have 2 flower bins. I have seeds from zinnias over the last couple of years, and they were just stunning. They looked like sunsets. So we're gonna stick our zinnia seeds in here with the other home preserved zinnia seeds. This year I want to try growing borage. I hear it's got good medicinal properties, but on top of that, it's a great edible flower. Calendula, I've only had calendula succeed once, and I would very much like to grow it where it's actually prolific. So we'll see what happens. I have had my Cracker Jack marigolds grow like weeds, and they are stunning, and they were so beautiful, and I enjoyed them so much. Nasturtiums. I absolutely love growing nasturtiums. If you want a flower that just goes and goes, and honestly, my nasturtiums were so neglected. They did so well. If you want a good flower, I highly recommend nasturtiums because they are just so prolific and so easy growing. Bachelor buttons I'm considering growing again. Cosmos. My cosmos have always done really well. And then a flower that I really enjoy is a straw flower. And it's just, when I heard about them, I knew I wanted to grow them. They are very hard to germinate. Their germination rate is not the best. However, they are so cool. Essentially, the flower petals feel like paper. Like, that's the way that they're supposed to feel. And they are a flower that dries out really well. I originally had plans to maybe like braid my garlic, or at least hang some dried flowers, because I can hang them up somewhere. They're dried, I don't need to water them, and I can put them somewhere. Boots isn't. However, I only had 3 of them succeed last year, and I got to enjoy them in the garden for a really long time. Once frost hit, they handled the frost like a champ. They looked really great up until about December. And then they were looking sad. So straw flowers, I do enjoy growing, but they are a bit of a labor of love. They do take a lot of care to get going. Once they were in, they were fine. But getting the seeds germinated was a bit of a chore. So the one catch with these huge Johnny seed packets is they don't fit in the photo album organizer. But if those are the only 2 that don't fit in there, that's perfectly fine. So I will take you guys along with me once I figure out my garden plan. Reed and I need to do some brainstorming on the 2 beds we're gonna put in. We're not too entirely sure about their dimensions yet, so that will affect some things, and I'm still observing the way that the sun maneuvers in that area of the yard, and that will also help me determine what goes where. So if you are a gardener and you have any tips and tricks about any of the things that I have grown, please put them in the comments below. I am a newer gardener. I didn't grow up gardening. I had some grandparents who enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a skill that was passed on. And now it has become something that I really enjoy. It gets me outside. It gets me away from screens. I'm standing, I'm moving my body, and it's really rewarding knowing that you are eating food that you have grown yourself. I also really enjoy that it does help with the way that I shop throughout the rest of the year, because if I put in the work to grow the food and preserve the food, I don't have to buy it throughout the year. I've already put in the work and we have it on hand. So that's super awesome. So have a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.